Sean Jones, thank you so much for joining me today. We're chatting about a brand new album that you are releasing. Let's just talk about how Weekend Lover came to fruition.
Yeah, you know what? Let's see. I started with my group back in 2000, well, actually like 1990 something or the other. I'm dating myself. And then we won a Juno in 2003 and or 2004, and it was all about 90s R&B music. And when the group broke up, I wanted to explore some different things. Like I was writing, I was trying some rock stuff. I had seen Prince in concert. I picked up a guitar. So I was like, I even went into some folk type R&B type stuff, then some rock R&B stuff. And then I landed on this Motown revival type thing for the better part of, I'd say, 6 to 7 years, honestly, just putting out records that were kind of focused around that. But in my heart, I always wanted to kind of get back to R&B, I think, 90s R&B. But, you know, there was a lot of people in my ear saying, oh, no, that stuff isn't going to work, especially here in Canada. You find blah, 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 blah. Anyways, I finally just decided, listen, I'm just going to go for it and do it. And right when I was doing it, I had put together about, I don't know, 8 or 9 songs with one producer. And they were okay. They were all right. But I finished a project for WestJet and I sat down with my other producer, my new producer, and I was like, listen, man, I'm thinking of doing stuff. I already have some tracks already recorded. Take a listen. He listened. He was like, yeah, he was like, the songs are good. He's like, we got to fix the production, man. Let's go for it. And so we did. We embarked on this thing where, you know, he came over to my house and we were putting together this record, and then COVID hit. And then everything kind of slowed down, but it slowed down for a really good reason for me, at least, because I actually had a polyp on my vocal cord and I had to actually have surgery on it. And so I had the surgery in March 2020. And it's basically like a 9-month kind of rehabilitation type thing. Like you're not sure exactly if your voice is ever going to come back the same. But I had to get in the studio and record this record. So I did what I had to do and was very careful when I went into the studio in June, which is just, you know what I mean? Like that's a couple months after my surgery. And we started recording this. And basically, yeah, I feel it's the best I've ever sounded on a record. These are the best songs I've ever written. I'm so proud of this material. I'm so excited for people to hear it. And if you're a lover of 90s R&B, there's no way that you won't enjoy this. I mean, the entire record, not just, I come from a school of thought where it's like albums still mattered and putting together a strong body of work still mattered, not just a single. And this is a strong, really strong body of work. Like all the songs are really strong. Like I feel really, really good about it. So there you go.
That's awesome. Well, sorry to hear about your surgery, but glad to hear that you're able to get back at it. So, you know, the R&B, you know, I was a teenager in 96, well, a little bit older than teenager, but whatever the case. You know, I was just chatting with Sask Music yesterday about their nominations, and they said that they re-added the R&B category. So, I mean, there's a few people with the same good thinking on, you know, going on there. Let's bring that R&B back. Just there's something sweet about that music, you know. I bet you there's a lot of babies made to that kind of music when we were growing up.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, when I listen to my record, it takes me back to like when I used to put together, you know, mixed tapes, like tapes, actual tapes. I used to record them and the radio was playing and I'd like have to be really quick. So I'd cut out the DJ saying something and just have the song. And I'd put together these slow jam tapes, you know, and it's just like, it took me back to that. But there is something special about R&B, and especially the way that it was done back then. It's very much different from the way it is done now. And I'm not trying to knock anybody for anything, but there is a very strong difference. And so, you know, I put together this body of work. I didn't want it to sound exactly like the stuff in the 90s because, yeah, that's dated. So there's some new sounds, maybe some new ways of going about it, but essentially the heart of 90s R&B is on this record. And it makes me really happy. It makes me smile.
So I had a chance to check out your new single, Weekend Lover. And so obviously you're roller skating in that. Is that something that you grew up doing, or was that something you just always wanted to do?
Well, I in that video, I'm trying to roller skate. The roller skating really was done by the fantastic skaters that were there. Yeah, I used to roller skate when I was in high school. Actually, that video was shot right next to my old high school. It's called Scooters Roller Palace. It's right down the road. So me and the boys used to go there all the time. And yeah, I could skate, but I couldn't do any of that like crazy stuff. But the minute that the song was done, it was like, this is a roller skating jam. Like I want to do a roller skating video. And Brian Gregory, who directed it, was like, okay, let's make it happen. So went to Scooters, asked if we could use the place, brought in some skaters. And I think it's just a really dope and cool video. And I think it takes people back.
It's definitely great. I love it. There's a lot of excitement in it. Your pink suit's fantastic.
Thank you, boss. Hugo Boss, shout outs to Hugo Boss, always holding me down.
Awesome. Well, I'm excited about this new album. Let's talk a little bit more about that song that took you like a decade, though, that ended up, working its way onto this album.
Right. So Hooked, you're talking about Hooked. And I was in a really crappy kind of record deal back in like 2010, basically, or 2008 even. And I had put together a series of chords that I really loved. I really loved it and never really forgot about it. And I wrote a song to it, never ended up recording it, but it just wasn't right. It just wasn't right. And then something as we were putting together this current record, Weekend Lover, something told me, okay, well, let me just revisit that. And I was sitting down with the guitar and playing, and I was like, and I just had like, I was like, ooh, honey, you got me so high, yeah, you day. It's like you're coursing through that sweet ecstasy. I was like, whoa, okay, now we've got a chat. So. Right. Yeah, I like wrote the song. Me and Murray Daigle, we put together the tune, and it's literally, I mean, it's the only acoustic song on the record, but it has so much harmony. I can't wait to actually perform it live because it's gonna be so dope. Like it takes you back to like my reference for that was Jodeci, Good Love. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the record, but it's like if anyone is listening right now, go check out Jodeci, Good Love. And you'll understand like the reference and where it went. But yeah, man, like and yeah, that took a decade to like come together. But that's kind of just how music is sometimes, man. You have songs that are, and my phone is filled with thousands of voice notes of ideas that are probably never going to go anywhere. But every once in a while, I go back and I label them like, listen, might be an idea, like I label them, right? And I'm just like, okay. And I go back and I listen to them because you never know when inspiration might strike again, right? And it's just, but it's very cool. That is a good story for me, at least. It's just like, wow, that song took 10 years to make, literally.
So you talking about your phone and putting your ideas makes me think of like when they were creating Seinfeld and there was the little notebook that all of the ideas happened in. And, when you're doing that, is it like you're putting just the words, like the lyrics? Are you acapelling yourself in there? Like what is it that you're giving yourself for a future?
So I hear a melody, I think, first. And then I started hearing the beat, and basically I beatbox and sing kind of at the same time. Sometimes there's words. When it comes to hooks, like sometimes I have a really strong idea of like a word or something that this hook is gonna sit on. And so I make sure I plant that down, try and plant the bass line down. I'm doing all of this while I'm beatboxing, like understand. So, and driving, which is probably not a great thing because I live in Hamilton. And so it's just outside of Toronto. So, during rush hour traffic, I've got like a good hour and a half if I'm going back home. And and just I try and do that. And sometimes I listen to it later on and I'm like, what the hell? Like, and I'm literally trying to like pick out the bass line. And all of a sudden I catch a note and it takes me someplace else. Oh, cool. And so now this is no longer needed anymore. Now I'm making a new note because now I have another idea off of the one that I had. It's cool, man. I love this interview because you're taking me down and making me remember the process of like writing and inspiration and where it comes from. And that feels really good. And I don't know, I'm kind of like in a place right now, and it's weird. Like you caught me at a really interesting time because I've been so focused on getting this record out and putting together all the stuff for it, getting the videos done and whatnot. And I haven't really had a chance to really just sit back and enjoy the fact that I just put together a really great record, and it's coming out on November 5th. And just thinking back on all the things that it took to get to this point. So yeah, thank you.
So it actually made me think of, you know how you can't be with your phone when you're driving because that would be distracted driving, but you're allowed to go on your fancy dashboard and do all the Google Maps and things like that. So a new app is going to be the soundboard, right?
Yes,
so
absolutely.
Not gonna get in trouble because it's right here.
You see, you shouldn't say it, and then you're gonna let the public hear. And I'm telling you, in about a year, you're gonna be like, "Oh wow, someone just came out with that app, and they're making $1 million now." You better hop on that quick.
That's really weird.
Probably won't be me. I don't have that focus. Sorry, but you have a chance to do that right now.
Oh man! So for over a decade, obviously, you have been performing as a solo artist. What would be a pro of being a solo artist versus a pro maybe of being a part of a group? You know, having now done both, there's going to be pros and cons of both. But let's just talk. We're in a need for positivity these days, so let's talk about the pros of group work, and then, of course, as a solo artist.
You know, the pros of being in a group, it's like a brotherhood, right? So you get to travel a lot, you spend a lot of time with each other. I mean, you know, we were 5 guys and we were all growing. So I mean, we butted heads every once in a while, but there's just a camaraderie that happens on stage, and getting, you know, you're one person and you're sharing that energy with a whole crowd of people. But when there's 4 other guys on the stage with you and they're all giving out energy and getting it back, it's multiplied. Like it's just whoa. And the experiences that you have, like we had some amazing like tour stories and whatnot. Now on the flip side, as a solo artist, you kind of get to do whatever it is that you want to do, right? So the music that I want to make, the music that I hear in my head, I am the master of my domain. And I have a band, so I travel with them. And so, you know, there's a lot of camaraderie there. It's almost like I'm traveling with the group again. However, I'm the head guy, right? I'm the chief. So whatever I say needs to happen. And so that's definitely a pro of that approach, where you can just say, I can do what I want, man, you know, and that feels good sometimes.
So Sean, you mentioned that you picked up the guitar. Was that like at a later stage of your life? Like you were kind of doing the piano originally, or just singing, or trumpet, or what were you doing?
Trumpet at like grade 3. I was actually pretty good. I was like first chair. Like I was a good trumpet player. And then I actually got into heavy metal music. Well, not really heavy metal. Like Whitesnake wouldn't be considered heavy metal per se, but I love their song, Here I Go Again on My Own. Like that was, that inspired me at around 7 or 8 to like go buy a guitar. Like literally, like I had a paper route, I saved up all my money and I went and bought a guitar.
Nice.
And I was playing for a bit, but then basketball and girls made me put the guitar to the back seat. And then I kind of left it there, literally. And then I think it was in the 2000s, man, like early 2000, 2001, 2002, Prince came to Toronto and he performed at Massey Hall. And he put on a 3-hour show that I will never, ever forget. And he played, and I was just like, holy shit, I need to pick this thing back up again. So then I started playing again, but I'm still not a player. Like I can accompany myself, kind of. I'm really rusty, but I can definitely use it to write a song, for sure. And well, so that's kind of what,
tune, right? Not that you have any trouble.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
Well, I heard you did a little piece of a cappella there. So, I mean, honestly, like I love to sing, but anybody's ever heard me will know, yeah, you know, you need to just strum that G first. Just go ahead and give it a strum. Oh man. Okay, so let's go to heavy metal real quick here. So did you grow up with like Axl Rose and like, you know, the Def Leppard,
yes,
Pearl Jam, all those?
Yes.
That's actually
Yes.
how to sing. That's where
Yeah.
I sing. That's what I'd love to do.
Yes, that is it. I grew up in Saudi Arabia. Like I moved to Saudi Arabia when I was 5 and a half. My dad had uh, a job with Bell Canada, and so he moved the entire family over there. We lived on this Canadian compound, and there wasn't a lot, and it was an interesting experience. And I always say this because over there wasn't a lot of Black folks that were over there, and so I never felt out of place per se, but there was a lot of different music that was coming around me, right? I was skateboarding, I was BMXing, I was like literally going down ramps. I was breaking my wrist like twice. If I break it again, apparently it won't work. So I'm gonna be very careful with that. But yeah, there was like Duran Duran and all these kind of like other music coming at me. But my sister was back here in Canada because school only goes up to grade 9 or 8 there. So she came back for high school, and she would send me back or bring back like old school. Like she would bring back like Levert. She would bring back like Kool Moe Dee for hip hop and Big Daddy Kane and all this stuff. And so I was getting it on both sides. Whereas if I just grew up here in Canada, I know that it would just be, I would have been in like the Black person clique. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's just the way that schools and stuff happened back then, especially. And when I came back here, that was kind of a problem for me, to be honest with you, because I didn't know where I fit in. I really didn't, because I was listening to all this stuff. I was BMXing. Black kids didn't BMX and skateboard and listen to Guns N' Roses. Like what? No, that wasn't cool to do. But here I was, this guy doing it. So
at the time, when we were listening to Guns N' Roses, just as an example of one of the bands, right? It was always the hair bands and whatever everybody would say. But it wasn't until 20 years later, like back just a few years ago, that I actually found out Axl Rose was one of the best singers in the world. And I was like,
holy smokes, yes.
I had no idea. So like him, Mariah Carey, like, Queen, Freddie Mercury. And I'm like, Axl Rose is up there? That's crazy.
Heck yeah. Hey,
no.
What's that guy? The vocal cords on that guy? Oh,
exactly. Man. It's crazy. And like the falsettos and things like that, like I take it for granted, right? Because who'd have thunk? Yeah, as you're learning to sing, you're learning to sing with the best. I had no idea.
You were, honestly. Even Perry, I can't remember his first name. Is it Steve Perry from Journey? Don't Stop Believing, that guy that sang.
Yeah. There's so much energy with music. It's fantastic.
Yep.
And that's why I'm excited to be talking with you today, with a brand new album coming up, that you're going to present to the world. I'm just going to put it to you this way. In 2021 summer, and whether it's true or not, I'll probably be fact checked. That's fine. But I found out that music, of course, and I mean, it makes sense, but it affects the positive energy in the world, right? And the more positive energy going out, the more positive energy swirling around out there. And so I heard that, and I picked up my guitar again this summer because I thought, if for nothing else, it's for world peace. But it makes me think of something I read about you, Sean, is you have done a lot of covers, before releasing your own albums and things like that. If you could pick one artist to cover, and that was the only artist you were ever allowed to cover aside from your own originals, who would you pick?
I think I'd have to go to my go-to, which is Sam Cooke. Yeah, like Sam. Actually, I would love to do Sam, but I feel like nobody can do Sam better than Sam. I feel like anytime I sing Sam, I'm just trying to keep up, like in some sort of way. Not to say that not to say that if I tried to cover Stevie, because that would be kind of like my next, or Prince, I'm anywhere close to them. But Sam Cooke just had something in his soul that just resonated with everybody, and the way that he sang it. I mean, I've listened to Change Is Gonna Come, which is probably my favorite song in the entire world. And I still can't sing like the way that he sings it. Like he's just that guy.
So one of the things that I found is that you were inspired a lot by music that your parents, where you grew up with your parents. Okay. So I agree with that very much. But the music that I grew up to be more like Great Balls of Fire.
Right.
The energy side of things very different than what you grew up with. But growing up, where you're basically you have to listen to what the parents are putting on. So when they would put on the music, what would be your absolute favorite that they would be throwing onto the old record player?
Ooh, well, it must be because it sits in my head. It's Otis Redding's "These Arms of Mine." Like that played. I know they still have like the 45 of that, like honestly. So that played a lot. And you know what's a funny one that actually used to play is Daryl Hall and John Oates. They had a song called "Man Eater," and I always used to think that, well, because I was young, I was like, oh my God, they're talking about she's a man eater, like she literally eats men. I literally thought that they were talking about a monster.
Oh man, that's awesome.
Anyways,
For
yeah.
me, I never knew the name of any of the music. I'm on the radio. There's 3 booths, and this is more like the music that's just being released. The one next to us is the music crew grew up with, and I'll go out there and be like, oh, what's that song? And I'll go run into the booth, and I'm like, oh, how did I not know that?
Yeah, no, I remember that and lots of reggae, like lots of Bob Marley was playing
Yes.
in the
Yes.
house as well.
For
One
sure.
Love, Three Little Birds. Oh my gosh, yeah, man.
So many good ones, hey? And your list is going to get on that list of someone else's coming up here too. So this new album, 15 songs.
Yes.
That's almost a double album's worth.
Yeah, I didn't know if I was gonna make another one. That's I'm dead serious on that. I wasn't sure if I was gonna make another record, and so I was like, you know what? Let's just go. Let's just go. And I mean, it got to around probably we already had like 9 or 10, and then I kept on having new ideas and being like, Murray, I got another one, and we would like quickly put it together, and we ended up just recording the 15. And there's more. Like we could have gone probably to 20 tracks that I would have felt like really, really good about if we had the time and kind of like, a little more patience, but whatever.
You can just skip an album and just call it the best of Sean Jones.
Exactly.
And then, whatever. Nobody said you couldn't just start with that, right?
Exactly.
All right. So, okay, of the 15 songs, we talked about Hooked, and that was, on the go for a good decade plus. We've talked about the new video for Weekend Lover. Of the 15 songs that we're going to buy this album for, tell me which is your absolute favorite of the 15. Okay, wait. There's two portions. One to perform, right? As a performance side, like your range, things like that, and then the other one as far as lyrics. Maybe
lyrically, I really love My Love. That's the song called My Love. It's I don't know, maybe it's just a personal thing because I definitely went through it with someone, but it's just it's that thing where you want that person back. You like realize you've gone through your own journey and you realize I never should have gone, I never should have left, and it's just it's very Bobby Brown-esque, but the lyrics are simple, but man, the message like hits home. And to perform, because I did perform some of these. I haven't performed all of them though. So I feel like Black Diamond is going to, I haven't performed Black Diamond yet, but I feel like it's going to be a fun one to do. And it's a mellow tune, but man, like it speaks, it really, really does. And when those harmonies kick in, woo, and the band takes off, bam.
Like goose pimples.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
That's awesome. All right. Well, let me ask you this. Okay. So I have somebody in my head. He's no longer living, but choosing a live or no longer with us, a Canadian artist that you would love to do a piece of work with, who would you pick? Just one.
Oh, I know, geez, Hayden Neal, who was, oh my gosh, why can't I remember? Jack Soul. Hayden Neal of Jack Soul. That, I mean, when I was with In Essence, actually, because he was signed to BMG the same time that we were. And so we would go into the studio, and they built a studio right in the BMG building. And so he was kind of in charge of it and recording up there. And we had like many talks, and just the most amazing guy. And if I had a chance, I would love to do a collaboration with him, because he was just so cool, man. And just like, and had a falsetto on him that was just unbelievable. Like, honestly,
that's my favorite thing.
I still think about it to this day. Yeah.
I was thinking Leonard Cohen personally, you know, with that whole, you know, I don't know, he's just got that.
Leonard. Listen, Leonard was dope for sure. But yeah, I like Hayden, man. Yeah, I miss him.
Is there anything that you know offhand that I haven't touched on yet, Sean?
I am the voice of WestJet right now. When you head on a plane, that is what you do.
Well, I read something about that, but I thought that was over and done. So let's talk a little bit about that. When did it start? How does it go?
I think it was 2018. They invited me to like kind of be the music ambassador and create this thing called the WestJet boarding sessions. And so I took 5 iconic songs from iconic Canadian artists and did covers of them, and went out and actually interviewed Burton Cummings, Sarah McLachlan, Buffy St. Marie, Florence Kay out in Quebec. And then I took 5 of my original songs and we put them together on a playlist. And basically, as you enter the plane, as you exit the plane, you are hearing Sean Jones. And on the flight, you can see these interviews that I've done. So yeah, it is still going. And we're now in talks to hopefully extend it and put some new music on there. Hope maybe from Weekend Lover. Hey, you never know.
Yeah, that'd be so cool.
That would be, trust me, it would be very cool for me. But I also want to expand it too. Like, I'd love to include other artists, other Canadian artists. I think it's a great opportunity, and something that WestJet really took a lead on. And I'm very, very proud of them and proud to be, working with them on this.
It's a great initiative for sure.
Yeah,
so obviously people on WestJet, they're going to hear you, but what about, do you have anything planned for, I don't know if COVID's still a thing over there, if it's stopping, live events, but what's coming up for Sean Jones, whether it's live on Zoom or right here?
Well, you know what? There's a lot of private gigs. I'm very fortunate to be getting quite a few private gigs. We're doing, we did my show Soul in the City that went on for it's been on for 6 years. This year we had to do a very short version, so we only did 2 shows, but we filmed both of those shows. And so we've basically packaged both shows into one show, and it's going to be about an hour long, and it's going to be on Sessions Live. So if anyone wants to see kind of the vibe at Casa Loma and what we do during the summertime there, Sessions Live is going to be presenting basically Soul in the City that you can watch virtually. We're also going to be doing some Christmas shows. So November 28th in Hamilton, and my first show in Hamilton, even though I've lived here for 10 years. And then there's going to be another one at Casa Loma on December 12th. And I've got a private New Year's gig, but it's next year that I'm planning on going out and touring and supporting this record. And so I hope to actually come see you folks, actually. So, and the rest of Canada. So, hey, we'll see what happens. But yeah, that's the plan.
Nice. Do you have a dog?
I have 2 dogs.
Totally out of the question. Okay, the reason I thought of that is because you said you were coming this way, so I thought, well, if your dog ran away from the tour bus, at least you could watch him run for a little while.
No.
Saskatchewan humor.
I could never bring these 2 crazy animals on tour with me. It would be mayhem. No, they will stay right here. But They're lovely, but yeah, they would need to definitely stay right here for sure. Oh
That's
my
nice.
God.
That's nice. So, when you do, are you full-time musician? Like, or do you also have oh, you are full-time musician. So do you get to be home pretty much every night? Is that kind of how your life has worked itself out? Nice.
Yeah, during the pandemic, I mean, it just gave me more downtime, really, like it gave me time, like I said, to put together the record. But, without shows and stuff like that, like it got a little bit weird for me because it was like I'm home all the time. However, it did, me and my partner, we have a 4-year-old little girl, Savannah. And so I got to spend the most amount of time with that little girl over and I never would have been able to do that had COVID not taken place. And so there's been good and there's been bad. I'm gonna try and just rest on the positive of it. And yeah, like I got to spend so much time with her and see her grow in the whole nine. And and it works because my honey works. This is my music office. However, it has suddenly become her office now because now she's working from home. So I only get this spot every once in a while. I had to book a time to be like, hey, I got an interview. I have an interview. So can I use the room? Oh yeah, sure. I don't need it till 2:30. Oh, well, thank you so much. Thank you for allowing me to use my room.
That's funny.
I appreciate
Sean,
that.
One of the videos, I mean, especially when YouTube, I'm going to say first started, but I mean, honestly, who knows with all the years that meld into one these days. But do you remember that little girl, Claire, who the dad gets to sing like all these super cute little songs? Are you doing that with Anna?
You know what? It's possible. She likes to sing. She's very, very shy. And I think, and I don't want to, make that shyness any worse by like forcing her. So, she'll be singing something and I will barely like turn around, like, but I'm like, okay. And then I'll start singing a tiny bit with her. But yeah, I foresee some awesome duets that are happening in the future for sure. Yeah.
All right. I've taken up a lot of your time, so I'm going to ask you one more question. One thing that nobody knows about Sean Jones.
One thing nobody knows about Sean Jones. Oh my goodness. One thing nobody knows about Sean Jones. Well, only my sister would know this, but when we were kids, we used to put like, we used to drink like sugar water. Like my parents didn't have a lot of, so we like just put sugar, like we'd wake up early and put sugar in water. And and I eat pancake toast. So you toast it, you toast the bread, you put some butter on it, and then you put like syrup on top of it, and instead of jam. Trust me, man, it's a thing. It's a thing for me. It's a thing for me. But yeah, that's like me and my sister, we used to do that in the morning time. So yeah, there's something that everybody knows it now.
I'll tell you something that very few know about me. When I was a kid, I figured out that staples fit right into the electrical socket.
Oh no.
That was a good time that day.
Oh no.
A lot of energy since then.
Right.
Well, I'm excited, Sean. The music that I've seen so far with this album's fantastic. I appreciate the opportunity checking out in advance, and I'm going to do what I can to help, get the word out that this album is being released at a week? Not even, just over a week away from today.
Just over, yeah, just over a week, man. Yeah.
Very exciting. Any last words, Sean?
No, I'm just I'm looking forward to people hearing it, and just I'm looking forward to performing these tunes. Like honestly, I'm so proud of this work. I really, really am, and I don't know if I've ever been prouder of anything that I've put out ever. And I've put out quite a bit of material over the years. I'm really deeply excited about this. So
okay, where are we finding this music? Streaming sites, YouTube, where are we going?
All of that, yeah, anything you want, like SeanJonesMusic.com. It'll lead you anywhere you want to go. But yeah, all the streaming sites. There'll be a new video that's coming out shortly for Drink. It's like Bridgerton, but we took some liberties with it and like had some fun with it. So yeah, it's set like in the Victoria era. I'm wearing Trust
Nice.
me, it'll be a thing.
Looking
So
forward
that's
to that.
coming out shortly. Yeah, that's coming out shortly. That's coming out shortly. But yeah, man, you can find me. Please follow Sean Jones.